Right, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about the lineup, talking about players that shouldn't have been playing, that were playing, all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't care about any of that. Yes, Murphy probably shouldn't have been playing. There was no need to try and find a way to shoehorn Dan Burn into the team. I completely understand that. And I could also sit here and talk about how many losses we've had, how many points we've dropped from winning positions, how many points we haven't managed to gain from losing positions. I could sit here and compare us to the relegated teams and you'd see just how clearly we are a relegation level side at the moment. I could sit here and go through all of that. But to be honest, they're just cold hard numbers that you can't deny. They're all over the place. So like, just go have a look at them. They're there. The reason I don't give a shit to talk about these numbers, to talk about formations, to talk about players that were playing that shouldn't have been playing, the reason I don't care to talk about any of this is because none of this fucking matters. I said on one of my videos recently, and I even said on the TTR live show, anything that we do this summer is absolutely fucking irrelevant. I don't care about what formation we set up in, which players we sign, which players we put in the team week to week. It doesn't matter. For all I fucking care, Eddie could slide into my fucking DMs, ask me the exact team that I want to see go out every week, and it still wouldn't fill me with confidence that we were going to win the game. Preferred lineups, formations, all of it makes no fucking difference, because all of that stuff is the tip of the fucking iceberg of what's going wrong at the moment. All of this shit makes absolutely no fucking difference whilst Eddie is the one in training trying to coach his philosophy of football. Whilst he's there reading the game on a match day and trying to make changes to tactically outsmart his opposition. I've said every fucking week for the last 6 or 7 weeks, and I genuinely think it's getting to the point where I feel like I'm going fucking insane. I've said every week that we are shit. We are awful. And there's people that just seem to be fine with this shit. Or if they're not fine with it, they're like, oh yeah, but let's just give him one more year. No, let's not give him one more fucking year. Let's not even give him one more fucking week. I don't know what people are seeing week on week that isn't just he won us a cup. There is nothing. You're not seeing anything that signals that change is coming. And I'm going to go through exactly why. There is no sign of change. We haven't turned a corner like it was made out that we apparently did against Arsenal. It's bollocks. It's all PR bullshit, so David Hopkinson doesn't have to actually follow through with his own fucking words and do something about it and can just take the easy fucking option. And when I say his words, I'm going to read out exactly what words I mean because I tweeted them yesterday after the Fulham game. So his words are, Eddie's our manager. I expect to have a great run to the end of the season here, and we'll talk about the future when it's time. This was after being embarrassed 7-2 by Barcelona and then losing the second derby of the year. So David, we're waiting for the outcome of this meeting because your expectations haven't been met. You said you expected a good run till the end of the season, and that has categorically not happened. No matter how much the club, the journalists try to put some fucking PR bullshit spin on how this season has ended, it has not been good. There was no corner turned. None of the performances were good. And I've been shouting about this shit for weeks and just been told that I'm being negative. So let's go through every single fucking one of them performances. Because David, your reputation is on the line here. Like, he's done a few good things since he's been at the club, but is he just as much full of bullshit as everyone else seemingly surrounding the club at the moment? Filling us with fucking lies every week about these better performances, scapegoating our best players, while players like Jacob Murphy put out shitters every fucking week and don't get so much as a fucking mention, and even manage to get minutes every fucking week. So from the point of that interview, it went loss to a Crystal Palace side that had 3 days to prepare when we had 3 weeks. They put out their B team because they just played in Europe and then were playing in Europe later in the week as well, an important game in Europe. They had nothing to play for in the Premier League. Their Premier League season was over. Their manager had already packed his fucking bags and told them it was off at the end of the season, and we lost to them. Then we lost to a Bournemouth side at home. We were at home, whose manager has also packed his bags and told him he was leaving at the end of the season. A manager who'd also lost 4 of his back 5 and midway through the season lost his star player, top goal scorer. And yet we still have Eddie, journalists, fans to this day still blaming this season on Isak. But obviously this was all before we turned a corner. So, you know, obviously it gets loads better from this point because then we turned a corner. So then we played against Arsenal, a loss, by the way, But that's where we turned a corner. Like, I don't know what happened to us turning corners, because there was a few years back when we turned a corner when we went on a bit of a bad run of form. We turned a corner and we actually did turn a corner, and we become like we went on unbeaten runs. That's turning a fucking corner, not turning a corner into, oh, another loss against Arsenal. After the game, all of the media, Eddie, a large portion of the fan base, were all masquerading this fucking loss as if it was some kind of win. Yeah, but we only lost 1-0 to the title favourites, and it was just through, like, you know, it was through a sort of a bit of a bizarre moment of magic with a really good sort of shot from outside the box from Eze, and that's why, you know, it was really positive. Like, it genuinely felt like everyone was talking about this game and framing it as if we'd won. And then I come along, baffled by this, and make a video saying, what the fuck? No, this is absolute bollocks. It was a very poor, nervy Arsenal side that had just lost what a lot of people considered to be the title deciding game against Man City. They were feeling the pressure of Man City breathing down their neck. Was quite possibly the worst I'd seen Arsenal play all season, and I think when I called it out as bollocks for what it really was, us failing to capitalise against a very poor Arsenal side on the day, I think I actually even potentially referenced Fulham in the video, ironically, because I think I used, it might have been Fulham, it might not have been Fulham, I can't remember who it was, but I used someone as an example that on the day, the level that you needed to be was just a standard sort of decent mid-table side to beat the side that Arsenal put out that day. The performance that Arsenal put out that day, you just needed to be around a sort of Fulham level side, just a decent Premier League standard side. The point being that we hadn't turned a corner at all, and we were no better than Fulham. And this is what I'm using for a barometer at the moment. This is genuinely the next step for me as to whether I think we've improved or not, whether I think we've turned a corner. The barometer is, do we look better than a Fulham? Do we look like someone who could consistently hold their own as a mid-table Premier League side? Because some of you might not want to hear this. There's a lot of people that are burying their head in the sand. We are not currently a decent mid-table Premier League side. We are playing relegation level football. And the fact that my barometer for improvement is, are we at the level of a Fulham, is a fucking damning assessment considering how much we have spent compared to a Fulham. When we have a team on paper with players like Bruno, Tonali, Hall, Malik Chow, Ramsey, we have Germany's number fucking 9 who we paid £70 million for. And I'm sat there at the moment thinking, have we managed to turn a corner and elevate our game a bit enough to become on par with Fulham, a team whose value of their squad is £320 million compared to ours at £615 million. And this is no disrespect meant at all to Fulham. I've got nothing against Fulham. I'm just using them as an example of a standard mid-table Premier League side. You wouldn't expect them to drop into a relegation battle, and you also realistically wouldn't really expect them to go on and compete for, you know, Champions League qualification. They are just my perfect example of a slap bang, decent, established, sat in the middle, mid-table Premier League side. And that's the level that currently every week we are not putting out. I'm not even sat here thinking, oh, we need to get back to where we were when we were qualifying for Champions League. I'm sat there at the moment thinking, are we Fulham? But with that said, let's continue looking at the rest of this run-in till the end of this season, this good run-in that David Hopkinson was expecting. And we're going to look at how the club have done this PR bullshit to gaslight everyone into thinking that the run-in actually wasn't as bad as it was, so that they can just, as I said earlier, take the easy way out so that David Hopkinson doesn't have to be a man of his word. So the next week, after the Arsenal game, I was apparently again being negative when I essentially just looked at the Brighton game and was like, realistically, we did just get lucky though. Yes, at least this time it was a win, but the fact that anyone can even disagree with the fact that we got lucky absolutely blows my fucking mind when you consider the amount of chances that they missed, clear chances that if they'd have scored them, it wouldn't have been a win. The goals that we scored that came purely from errors, and the other things in the game like fucking cabbage feet hoofing it at their attacker and it bouncing back and recoiling onto the fucking frame of the goal. But apparently, according to some, we ignore all that. We just ignore all of them red flags. And if we don't do so, if we even suggest we might have been lucky, apparently we're just being negative. So again, nothing about that performance better than a Fulham level. Again, relegation level performance that just so happened to get very lucky. Burnley are capable of that. Wolves are capable of that. But then moving on, the next week we come up against Nottingham Forest, and we can't manage anything better than a draw against an injury-ravaged Forest team that again had had half the time to prepare that we'd had. But according to some, again, this was somehow a positive, and I'm apparently negative for pointing out the fact that it was Forest B team. They had only had 3 days to prepare. They'd just been humiliated midweek by Aston Villa. But again, none of these are red flags. None of these are anything. We got a draw. What are you talking about? Which then brings us on to West Ham. West Ham are being relegated. And again here, I was called negative for posing the question because a lot of people seem to think we were better. And on the face of it, we did look better against West Ham. But I did pose the question, were we better? Or were West Ham that bad they just made it easy for us to look good? I even broke down a few of the goals and just why they made us look good. Just exactly how easy they made it for us to score them goals and just how easy they made it for us to look good. Because as I said, on the face of it, it did look like there was potential signs of improvement. There was a handful of good passages of play. The thing is though, there was handfuls of good passages of play when we lost 7-2 to Barcelona. The difference in how the game gets framed at the end is the result and the opposition. A handful of good passages of play in a game is not enough, especially against a West Ham that are being relegated. A handful of good passages of play is not enough to believe that you've started to turn a corner. Because as soon as we did against Barcelona, and as we found out the following week against Fulham, as soon as you come up against a half-decent Premier League side, that gets exposed. That all you're capable of is a handful of good passages of play. That's it. And that's not even mentioning the fact that for actually large periods of the game against West Ham, once they made some tactical changes, we were actually on the back foot for periods of that game. We just managed to get ahead with how shit they were in the first sort of like 20-30 minutes, and then sort of like shakily managed to hold on to that whilst conceding a goal. Was a bit of a wonder goal, so I'm not going to be too critical on that. But overall, this wasn't a performance that you could take enough positives from to go into the next game, Fulham, and have any real belief that we are of a level where we could go even toe-to-toe with a mid-table side, which then was proven to be exactly right because we go out and lose to Fulham. The team that is my barometer for just standard mid-table level. We finished the season against them. 0 big chances created, not a single shot on target in the second half, not an ounce of belief for even a second in that game that we could have won. And what that performance against Fulham did was prove everything that I have just said to be right. It proved that right now we are a relegation level side who can't even fucking hold a candle to Fulham. We are playing like a team destined for fucking relegation, where if we don't make a change, a drastic change yesterday, we will be on the path towards that next season. What that performance confirmed is that did West Ham play so badly that they made another relegation standard side look quite good? Yes. Did we struggle against Forest B team who had just played 3 days before and been humiliated in a way that a decent mid-table Premier League side wouldn't have struggled? Yes, we did. Did we get lucky against Brighton who hammered us all game and just, had one of them days in front of goal? Yes, we did. Did we fail to capitalise on a poor, nervy Arsenal side that were feeling City breathing down their necks? Did we fail to capitalise and get a point in a way that any other decent Premier League side would have managed to? Again, yes, we did. So honestly, call me negative as much as you like. I could not give a fuck. I don't need people in the comments to tell me to ignore these people because it's not necessarily my audience. Most of you guys that watch this channel, most of you agree with me. But then I go further afield. I look, I don't just look at my own comments. I then look further afield. I go on other social medias. I go and talk to other Newcastle fans. The idea of this video is more for people who do watch my videos, who agree with me, to then send it to people who they're sick of arguing with, who have been brainwashed by this fucking PR bollocks, this absolute bullshit about us apparently turning a corner, which might lead to more people coming here and calling me negative. As I said, I couldn't care less, because also part of the idea why I'm even bringing this people calling me negative up in the first place is me essentially saying there's absolutely no fucking point in you doing it. You are literally wasting your time. If the goal is to try and shut me up or something like that, it's not gonna fucking work. I care infinitely more about the direction of this club, the fans not being bullshitted to, and therefore accepting this fucking sleepwalk into relegation. I care infinitely more about that than the opinion who couldn't see relegation football if it slapped them in the fucking face. I've sat through as being relegated twice, and I know what relegation football fucking looks like. And yes, maybe we will improve a little bit next season. With 1 game a week, maybe Eddie Howe could stay, and maybe relegation might not be on the cards. Which genuinely at this point I think is a real 50-50, which is fucking insane considering the level of squad that we have. But let's say there is something in Eddie's excuses of 2 games a week, because now obviously we're going to be playing 1 game a week. Let's say because of that we do manage a decent season next season, we do manage to qualify for Europe, then we're back to 2 games a week again, and it's just going to be rinse and fucking repeat. We will literally be back to square one. What's the fucking point in wasting the time? What is the point in wasting 1 more year when realistically there is as much chance of relegation than there is of European qualification? Going in with Eddie for next season is a complete fucking roll of the dice at this point, the same way that just going and getting a new manager is a complete fucking roll of the dice. So what the fuck are we waiting for? Because at least if we roll the dice for next season, we might actually have the chance of having a manager that can manage 2 games a week if he does get into Europe. We know Eddie can't do that. Why are we wasting our fucking time? And on a quick side note, by the way, like, this is a comment that does annoy me a little bit, because this is almost to a certain extent putting into question my integrity, which is something that I value massively. So I'm going to address this once and then that'll be it. That's it, done. Some people say that my channel has changed, the way that I approach things, it's changed for views or for whatever else, right? First of all, it's not for views, because absolutely nothing has changed. Go back through my channel, nothing has changed about the amount of views that I get. I've had some videos that were not angry like this that have got 20-odd thousand views, and then I've had some videos that are really angry like this that have had like 4,000 views. Equally, I've had videos that are angry like this that have had loads of views, and I've had videos that weren't very angry that have had not many views. So there's no correlation between the type of video that I make on that front and me getting views. So that's a load of fucking bollocks. But secondly, and this is the part that makes even less sense, right? And this is just how much people don't like people disagreeing with them. As I said, a lot of people have said that parts of my channel have changed. The core principle behind what I do hasn't changed at all. All has changed is the side of the fence that I've gone to, right? When I started this channel, a lot of what people liked about what I did was I looked at everything that was going on, and I looked at all the stories. I'd see the fluff, I'd see the sugarcoating, I'd see the bullshit. I'd strip all that away and give my opinion on what was actually happening despite all the sugarcoating and fluff and bullshit. I am still doing the exact fucking same. All that's happened is I've gone from a position where when I first started making videos, everything was actually relatively positive. We just won a cup, and for some reason, there was a lot of negative media that was trying to pull us down. So I was ignoring the negative media and focusing on the positives back then, right? All that has changed is that the club, the team, we're now playing shit. There's plenty of reason to be negative now. Now I'm actually on board with the negativity because it makes fucking sense, when before the positivity made sense. Now the negativity makes sense because we are fucking shit. So now when people try and fluff things, sugarcoat things, and feed people with a load of bullshit about how things are positive, I'm doing the exact same. Nothing has changed. The core principle is the exact same. Remove the fucking bullshit. So don't come in here and question my integrity and why I'm making videos simply because you don't like the fact that I'm now not agreeing with you because I'm potentially questioning your reality. When things actually are positive, I will be overwhelmingly positive, and I will do a very good job of blocking out all the negative bullshit. Just as equally, when things are negative as they are now, I won't be sat here and fed a load of bullshit about how I should be positive and just happy about the shit that's going on at the club, and I won't be gaslit into believing that things are all fucking hunky-dory when they're not. So if you like that approach, subscribe. If you don't like that approach, then there's plenty of journalists out there that, you know, can fill your head full of shit, and they are probably more suitable content for you. Thanks for watching. That's all the noise for this one. Until the next one.